Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, which is brought to you by our friends over at Greta. Greta's is a great spot for all games, home and away, and we will be there for Canucks Army viewing parties throughout the season. Details on that are coming very soon, just minutes from the arena. Come by before and after the game, or whatever event you're downtown for. With weekly drink specials, Greta Bar YVR is the place to be. 50 West Cordova Street. Let the games begin. Is Yuri Patera going to be in the first game against the Boston Bruins? Because we know Zadorov, Lindholm, right? They're going to make their return to Rogers Arena in December. These teams are going to face each other pretty early in the season. Is Yuri Patera going to start for the Bruins?
I'd be shocked.
Dave Quadrelli alongside Harmon Dial. Our technical
happening.
producer is Jacob Lazar. And Yuri Patera has been claimed off waivers by the Boston Bruins. Folks, I can't believe it. Neither can you. We were talking about this, I think, a little too soon to air. Jacob, did that go to air or us laughing about it?
No. I made sure your mics were muted, but yeah.
Jacob starts hitting the glass between us, telling us to shut up. So we were talking about this right up until we went to air. Yuri Patera has been claimed off waivers by the Boston Bruins. Phil DiGiuseppe, Christian Wolanin, and Nate Smith, the other Canucks that were on waivers yesterday, passed and report to Abbotsford. Rick Tockett's very happy about Phil DiGiuseppe making it down to Abbotsford, obviously. But Yuri Patera claimed by the Boston Bruins, who we talked about yesterday. They have Jonas Korpisalo and Brandon Bussey as their tandem. Michael DiPietro is their third string guy. And they looked at that situation and said, okay, we need to strengthen the position a little bit. Like, we have to improve our depth a bit. And I think Yuri Patera accomplishes that for them.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he got claimed in the first place, even with the context of what's been going on with Jeremy Swayman, just because Patera, I mean, we saw him in training camp and preseason. His preseason performance was good. He was sharp against Calgary, but in training camp, he noticeably struggled. And before we went to air, I was telling you, management could have conceivably seen Patera getting beat off the rush consistently during these drills and probably went, all right, we really need to get Kevin Lankinen. We do not want to start the season with Patera as our backup.
I think that's exactly what happened.
And now Patera is a potential backup solution for Boston. Now, I was initially wondering, could the Bruins not have waited a little bit longer where there are more cuts and seen some better goaltenders?
Spencer Martin's on waivers today. Who would you rather have, Yuri Patera or Spencer Martin?
I'd rather have Spencer Martin.
But the other thing that I brought up right when we were laughing right before we went to air was that Spencer Martin might get claimed. And you brought up the point that the Bruins are back in the waiver order. So the Bruins really can't run the risk of, like, look, I'm the biggest Mikey DiPietro truther out there since 2019 or whenever it was. You can't go into the season with him as your third string guy. He was their Yuri Patera.
Yeah, and he's disposable. You can dump him back on waivers whenever you need to as well.
Spencer Martin on waivers today. Okay, I gotta get to this before, and this is a season prediction episode, folks. So we're gonna get to the season predictions. But I tweeted this out. Of note, Yuri Patera claimed by the Bruins. Ty Young now has a pretty clear path to playing games in Abbotsford. The young netminder, no pun intended, wasn't 100% sure where he'd be playing this year. When I spoke with him at training camp, he'll get his shot now in Abbotsford. And I was the only media member to talk to Ty Young. Feels like I get that title
tradition
every year. Yeah, I get that title every year. And we were talking like Ty Ty didn't have a place to play this year. It was either going to be he gets traded in the WHL or he goes pro. We threw around the ECHL idea as well when we were talking to Dave Hall about it. But Ty wasn't really sure where he was going to play. So when I talked to him, he was very motivated to just put his best foot forward and hopefully play pro somewhere. And now it looks like he's going to get that shot in the AHL. Did you see Dollywell's reply to my tweet?
No, I didn't.
So he goes, the Canucks can still take another one goalie off waivers, which means the Canucks are taking a goalie off waivers, if you ask me. But that being said, and I just replied to Rick and said, don't ruin this for me. But that being said, I was thinking about it more. If they claim a goalie off waivers, they'd have to carry 3, which would mean, or no, they would either carry 3 or waive Lankinen or send Shelovs down, which I don't think they're going to do. I don't think the guy they're getting on waivers is going to be better than Shelov. So if they carry 3, it still leaves the door open for Ty Young.
Yeah.
So I think my point stands. I need to text Rick after this.
Yeah, because you can't claim a guy off waivers and then just send him down to the AHL. Like if the Bruins, for example, decide that they want to roll with Bussy as their backup and they don't need Patera at the NHL level, that they want to send him down to Providence, to do that, they'll have to put him back on waivers.
Yep.
And that's where Vancouver, for example, would have the opportunity to reclaim him and send him down to Abbotsford.
Jeremy Lee asked this in the chat, and we'll get to anyone else later in the show, folks. But I want to read this one from Jeremy Lee in the YouTube live chat. Does claiming players off waivers create bad blood between GMs? I've actually spoken to a GM about this, and the answer I got was just no. It's there for players to have an opportunity to play in the NHL. That's what it's for. It's not seen the same way as an offer sheet, where it's like, and someone said in the chat, a legit roster player. It's not the same thing as an offer sheet. So I don't think there's bad blood when a team claims a guy off waivers.
And these are fringe players. Exactly. Like the Canucks aren't going to be losing sleep that Yuri Patera got claimed by the Bruins.
Yeah, absolutely. Conversation. Lankinen is better than 75% or more backups in the league. I've been saying it. Top five backup in the league for the past 2 seasons. So I'm curious what they do. I need to text Dhaliwal. Kind of flesh this one out with him because I gotta figure out where he's coming from. But Ty Young is gonna get that opportunity. I needed to make sure I brought up Ty Young, gave a little love.
Well, also if I mean, I guess it's a moot point because Drantz of course reported, I think it was a week and a half ago, that the Canucks were planning to roll with 3 NHL goaltenders on the roster anyway. But if there had ever been a scenario where Demko's healthy and they want to potentially send Shelovs down, then the crease in Abbotsford would have been pretty crowded with Shelovs, Patera, and Tolopilo.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I was considering is I don't even know, like, if they do Demko, Lankinen, or if they claim a goalie off waivers and they decide to keep 2 goalies in the NHL, like Ty Young's still going to be in the AHL. I think they'll go with 3 goalie setup that they have had in recent years, and that waiver guy would probably be the guy not playing very much. But I don't know. I don't know if the Canucks are going to claim another one or claim a goalie, but it was an interesting reply to my tweet from Dhaliwal. But I wanted to bring up that thing about Ty Young. Any other Yuri Patera takes that you wanted to get to?
No, we've spent a lot longer on this than I thought we would.
Okay, do you want to get to it? Do you want to do it, Harm? Do you want to do the season prediction episode? Let's do it. Before that, though, I want to tell you about the amazing Vancouver run from the Social Run Club. We're hosting a station at the amazing Vancouver run. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it's a great way to get out and explore the city. There are over $10,000 in prizes, including some great stuff from us. Here's how it works. Find a partner and register. Show up on October 6th. Go between 20-plus stations all around downtown Vancouver. Complete challenges to win raffle prizes. It all takes place Sunday, October 6th from 9 a.m. to noon in downtown Vancouver. For more details, visit the link in today's show description. Speaking of links in today's show description, producer Jacob, do we have enough Family Feud responses?
We don't, so I don't want to have to tweet it out to the public. We want these to be Canucks Convo diehards voting in the polls. So make sure you guys go, if you haven't, fill out the survey, and we're gonna get into a rhythm. It's gonna be every Thursday, so just by the Friday show, always check the description for next week's poll.
Excellent. Well said, Jacob. Let's do it. Let's get to the season prediction. So, folks, how we're going to do this is we're going to do Canucks predictions first. We're going to get to a poll question, which is about Canucks predictions. And then we're going to get to our league predictions. And we'll finish the show with anyone else. Thanks for joining us,
Did you do your Western Conference 1-16?
No, did you?
Yeah.
Did you tell me to do that?
You told me to do that at
what?
the end of the show. Yeah, you did. Go back and listen to the end of the show yesterday.
I don't have a graphic for that, but you did mention that, Quest.
Well, then
you're assigning me homework, and then you don't do it yourself.
We texted
I was
about
scrambling.
But we texted about it.
Did you not see me frantically typing away on my laptop 2 minutes before we went to air to just double check my 1-16?
But then we texted about it. You didn't even mention it.
Well, I just assumed you did it because you were the one that mentioned it in the first place.
That's bold of you to assume. Let's get to it. Let's get to our Canucks predictions.
Well, at least I'll share mine.
Who are we starting with here? We're going to start with Harmon or Quads for the Canucks predictions.
Canucks predictions. Let's start with. Well, yeah.
Why don't we go category by category?
Yeah, for Canucks.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll do 1-16. My
graphics were not set up that way, but I'll make it work.
Or do you want to just do Harms altogether?
Yeah, start with Harms. That's easier. Yeah.
This is vintage Canucks convo. But look at this graphic. That's not vintage Canucks convo. That's new Canucks convo. Okay, let's see it.
I mean, the big thing that I'm predicting here is I'm believing in an Elias Pettersson bounce back. I think he's got Jake DeBrusk on his line now. That's going to help him a ton. I am hopeful that he'll be healthier based off the knee tendonitis that he had to deal with from January onward. And I'm expecting a 100-point campaign for him, plus for him to lead the league in goals, just because there are also some signs that from an offensive perspective, Brock Besser and JT Miller ran a little bit hot, right? Besser's individual shooting
You said
percentage
lead the league in goal. You didn't say.
Sorry, lead the team.
Okay,
My
continue.
bad.
No, I'm just making sure. I was like, all right, we're starting with the hot takes.
No.
I like it.
And so, like, for example, JT Miller had the highest PDO in the NHL last year, right? So I still expect him to be such a key engine for this Canucks team. I still expect him to produce around the 90-point range, to be the go-to defensive matchup center, to get the assignment when Connor McDavid is in town or Nathan McKinnon is in town, to go head-to-head. But at least from an offensive standpoint, I think this is a year where Pettersson really pops off and reemerges as an elite player.
Soggy Bill in the YouTube live chat, great name, by the way. He said, damn, high hopes for DPD. 38 goals, 101 points. He just got sent to Abbotsford, but he's coming back. No, and you said season result, 101 points, second in the Pacific.
Yeah, so 101 points is probably going to seem a little bit low. I think they got 109 last year, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm predicting a bit of a drop-off because of the uncertainty around Demko. Plus, there's just so many things that went right for this team as far as most of their skaters staying healthy through the regular season, the career years that you got from several players, that I just don't expect things to perfectly go 100% right again. And yet, having said that, I still expect them to finish second in the Pacific, and for 101 points to be sufficient for that, because I think the other Pacific Division teams are relatively weak. I'm not a huge believer in Vegas right now. I think LA, with the Doughty injury situation, is in a precarious spot. Seattle's a fringe wildcard team, and then you have some bottom-dwelling teams.
Can we get to mine, Jacob? Because I agree with Harmon on a few things, but I disagree on a couple things as well. I have the leading goal scorer as Brock Besser with 37 goals. I agree with you. Leading point scorer is Elias Pettersson. I said 103, though. If this price is right, you'd hate me right now. 103 points for Elias Pettersson. Jacob, make sure we save these because I want to actually revisit them at the end of the year. Someone's got to remind us in the chat.
And I think what I'll do is I'll probably shoot them over to Robert, and he can post them on social so that the receipts are there for everybody.
Excellent. Put the receipts out there. Season result. You see that season result, Harm? 108 points. First in the Pacific. And if you look, it's not on the graphic, but it is in the notes that I wrote. I am predicting that the Oilers will not win the division again because they haven't done it since.
Because you're a homer?
No. No, I'm not a homer. They haven't won the division for 36 straight seasons.
Okay, but when's the last time they had a team that was this good on paper?
The last time that it was this good?
They've mostly, like, outside of last season, because I think last season people expected them to be really good. But before that, how many of those years was Edmonton projected to be this good? The point I'm trying to make is, for a lot of those 36 years, they were just horribly ran and had ice terrible rosters.
Yeah, that's fair. Something's going to happen.
So you just think it's like tradition vibes?
Yeah. No, it's a total vibes pick that it's going to go
enough.
37 seasons. 86-87 was the last time that the Oilers won the division. Not just the Pacific Division. It was like the Smythe of the Northwest, whatever it was.
I'm not going to make fun of you. Crazy things happen in hockey. I mean, look at the start that they had last year.
Also, in all seriousness, their back end and their goaltending does worry me going into the year.
They're totally fine with their back end.
Okay.
For now.
Walk me through that.
Well, it's basically the same back end that they had last year, except Emberson is in for CC because Broberg only played 12 regular season games. And you look at the record that they had under Nullblock, they were the best team in the NHL.
What about Big Vinny?
Sure. Okay. They've replaced him with Josh Brown. Like, that's fine.
No, it's not. Josh Brown sucks. Josh Brown's horrible. That's my point.
Or Stetcher. Like,
are they fine?
6. I think.
Is Darnell Nurse getting better? Is Matthias Ekholm getting better?
And yet they still had the best record in the NHL from the point that Chris Knoblauch took over.
Sure. Okay.
The point is, like, Ekholm and Bouchard on paper, they're right up there with the Hughes Hronek pair. the Taves-Makar pair as one
Mhm.
of the best defense pairs in the NHL.
And Evan Bouchard, to the point that I just made, Evan Bouchard is going to get better.
Yeah. Look, if this is the blue line that they ice in the playoffs, yeah, they're gonna have problems. But for the regular season, they'll be fine. I don't think it's gonna hurt them, especially because other than Vegas, how many teams in the Pacific have significantly better blue lines than Edmonton right now?
That's fair. 107 points, second in Pacific for Edmonton. You heard it here first. 108 for the Canucks. A lot of activity in the YouTube live chat. Get your anyone else's in early, folks. We're going to get to our poll question, then we're going to get to our league predictions. So Canucks predictions were pretty similar. League predictions, we're going to go over the awards that we vote on. Again, we're not placing bets on these or anything, folks. This is just us giving our predictions. And of course, well, I know you won't. I might change my actual vote on the award based on my prediction so that I get to say I'm right. No, I'm just kidding. Let's get to our poll question. I don't even know what the poll question is. Jacob made it today because he made it in the car.
We were in the car together when I made it. You heard me.
Oh, that's right. I helped you with it. All right, pull it up, Jacob. Our poll question today.
Forget everything you say.
I know. Who will lead the Canucks in points this season? Pedersen, Miller, Besser, or Hughes leading the charge right now. 58.6% of voters say Elias Pedersen. 29.4% say JT Miller. 10% say Quinn Hughes. And 2% say Brock Besser. We both agree that it's going to be Elias Pedersen. We're with the majority of voters here. Let's see if we get some disagreement here on our league predictions. Let's start with yours, Harm. Your league predictions for the 2024-25 NHL season.
When are we going to talk about our like wild card / hot take versions?
At the end. We'll do it at the end.
So, I mean, I don't think any of these will catch people by surprise. The Hart, I'm going McDavid. He was obviously hurt at the start of last season, was playing through something, wasn't quite the type of dominant year for him. But if 139 points or however many he got is considered a down season for him, then, I mean, we know what he's capable of. He's still the best player in the league. The Norris, I'm going to go with Cale Makar. Again, Makar wasn't fully healthy. He missed some time with injury and was out of sorts last season, but I just believe that he's still the best defenseman in the NHL and that he'll bounce back. The Calder, Matvei Michkov, he's such an electrifying talent. Watching him with the puck on his stick, Philly needs a player like that. Like the power play is going to run through him. He's going to get a ton of top 6 minutes. And when you look at the rest of the Calder class, there just aren't many rookies that are going to get that level of like, okay, you're our guy offensively. He also has a bit more help than Macklin Celebrini, who last night also got banged up. Which
oh my
gosh,
the NHL scriptwriters are out to just totally prove my point wrong that we should put more NHL guys in preseason games. Like, holy cow, we're going to go over the list than anyone else. I have it for anyone else. But yeah, Michkov is also my Calder pick. We'll get to my picks in a second. But on that, I want to just ask you, the help that Celebrini is going to have basically starts and ends with Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah, and on the power play, Will Smith as well.
Yep.
Eklund's not a bad piece. Zetterlund's not bad either, but it's not the best supporting cast by any stretch of the imagination
compared to Michkov.
Yeah, he'll have at least Konechny, and it's not like the Flyers have a murderer's row of skill players to play with either. But I also just think they're a better team in general. Like, look at the blue line that the Sharks are going to ice compared to the Flyers. The Flyers at least have some decent pieces like Drysdale, York, Sanheim, Sealer, Zamula, Ristolainen in a third pair role, which means if you're a forward, I have more faith that Philly's defenseman can get the puck into Michkov's hands as opposed to Celebrini, who's going to run first unit power play, like Henry Thrun or Jake Wallman. Like that's not the best situation for Celebrini to be in. Okay, Selke and Vezina, walk us through it. Nico Hischier, I'm just buying on the Devils, rebounding this season. I think this is a theme, just like with a lot of these picks, is I'm betting on sort of like bounce backs. Obviously, McDavid and Makar aren't really bounce backs. They are kind of relative to their elite lofty standards. But yeah, Hischier, he finished second in Selke voting in 2023. Plus, I think Barkov got his due last year.
Yeah.
And I think whether it's right or not, there's a tendency among voters where if it's going to be close between Barkov and Hischier, that they like to give the new guy some love and attention, especially if New Jersey has a narrative of like, oh, look at them, what a strong season they're having. So that's why I'm going with him. And Shesterkin, I just believe he's the best goalie on the planet.
That's very fair. I like your Selke pick a lot. I also have the same pick. Let's pull up my predictions here, Jacob. I picked Hischier to win the Selke as well because you just brought it up. He finished second that year, and he lost it to Patrice Bergeron. And to me, that means that you're the new favorite. As soon as you lose out to just Patrice Bergeron and Bergeron's not in the league anymore, you're the new favorite. So I also went with Hischier for the Selke, McDavid and Makar for my Hart and Norris pick, and Matvei Michkov for my Calder pick, where we disagreed a bit, and I'm glad we did. At least there was one. Vezina, I've got UC Saros, and I'll pivot that into my hot take that we were preparing as well. I think Nashville goes to the Cup final this year.
Wow.
Yep, that's my take.
Here I was thinking that we were going to talk about our hot takes or like outside who could be the wild card among these award conversations that aren't favorites right now. Saros was my guy for the Vezina.
As your hot take?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't the hottest take, but he's not viewed as like a top 3 or 4 contender for
Exactly.
it right
Exactly. I think he's going to emerge as that this year. I think it's going to be a better team in front of him, and he's going to flirt. It's going to be the Thatcher Demko thing. It's going to be everybody in Nashville knows how good UC Saros is, just like everybody in Vancouver knew how good Thatcher Demko was. And as soon as a good team gets in front of him, the rest of the league is going to find out. More eyeballs. Better numbers too. Like, let's be frank about it. There's better numbers when you have a better team in front of you as a goaltender. So I think it's going to be UC Saros that takes home the Vezina. And like I said, pivoting that into my little hot take about the standings, I've got Nashville as my team to emerge from the West. If the Canucks are out of it, of course.
Okay, fair.
Go to the Cup final. Yeah, that's my take. I know a lot of people are favoring the Oilers. Oilers, Devils. I know you had that one as well, and I really like the Devils in the East. I just think Nashville is going to be. I think they're going to be so much improved this year, and I think it's all downhill from here. Like, this might be their best year that they have. Right? This very well could be with the free agents that they signed. Again, it goes to the conversation of, are these guys getting better? Is Steven Stamkos going to get better after this year? Is Jonathan Marchessault going to get better after this year? Maybe, maybe not. But I can tell you one thing. They're going to be really good next year. They're going to be really good this year coming up. I got to stop saying next year. We're here this year.
I will say, though, they like their core, especially their top 6 is aging, but we'll see how they do as far as they've got some intriguing prospects like Tanner Molendyk, 19-year-old first-round pick. He might make the team on that blue line at a camp. And so if Molendyk looks like a legit blue chip prospect, they've still got Matthew Wood. They've still got Joakim Kemmel. Like, I'm just going through this list. They've still got
Wood,
some
BCHL guy.
Young prospects that could emerge and help offset that regression. But you're right. As far as looking at Nyquist, O'Reilly, Stamkos, so the ages of those guys,
Forsberg, like all these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my pick. Nashville. What other picks did you want to go over? I feel like we had a few that we texted about.
Well, I was just gonna say, go through some of the more like hot take picks because, for example, it's boring to just say, "Oh, Connor McDavid's gonna win the Hart."
Do you remember last year we were talking about
win the Norris, right?
Can Elias Pettersson win the Hart Trophy? Like, that was a conversation we had. And again, if you asked me to give a hot take about the Hart last year, I might have said that. Like, yeah, Elias Pettersson can win the Hart Trophy. I'll give you one. Quinn Hughes for the Hart Trophy. Got consideration this past year.
No, I don't see it happening.
You don't see it happening?
I just think it's so tough for a defenseman to win that award.
It is.
But I'll give you some of my like outsider.
Let's hear it. I had Hughes on my Hart ballot this past season.
Okay, yeah, that would have been defensible.
Did you as well?
Like 5th.
I think I had him 4th or 5th.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Remember when I had him 2nd? Oh no, that was on the Norris. I had him 2nd on the Norris the year before this one.
Yeah, I had Hughes in my top 5, but I didn't have him second. That year.
For some reason I was thinking I put him 2nd on the Hart Trophy. I didn't.
That would have been wild.
No, that would have been wild. Yeah.
Did you have more hot take picks ready too?
No, but I can come up with some.
Well, and if I can share my
Jacob, what's yours?
Because I saw you guys sent your picks in. I'm like, wow, they have almost the exact same thing. So I got a little hot takey with a couple of mine. I'm just gonna pull it up here. So, I mean, I didn't go quite hot takey with the Harder Norris, although could have gone and said Evan Bouchard to win the Norris and seen what that would have done to the chat. But no, I stuck with Makar. But I think my Calder and Vezina winners here might be worth discussing. And, you guys kind of set up like for your Vezina there, Quads, you talked about Saros. There's a better team in front of him. Numbers get a little better. Harm, you like New Jersey. You like Heischer to win the Selke. I could see Markstrom kind of having a career year towards the end of his career. We've seen it happen with goalies in their mid-30s before. I think Jacob Markstrom might go out. And if New Jersey somehow wins that division, you got to figure Markstrom's probably going to be at the very least a Vezina finalist.
I like that pick a lot. Someone in the chat as well, right here, K-Town Chef, he said Jack Hughes is my dark horse for the Hart. I know
That was
because
mine.
I'm all in on the Devils.
Yeah.
Look, I think Jacob's right. I think K-Town Chef is right. I think you're right. I love the Devils going into this year. They've got a good team, and that's a prime bounce back candidate. I like the Vezina pick, Jacob. I really do. I really like that pick because, again, this is voted on by the GMs. You got to be a name that's been out there for a couple of years. That's why Demko never got Vezina consideration. You weren't on a great team a few years ago, but now his name's out there. He's emerging as one of the best goalies in the league, so now he's the runner-up for the Vezina. Markstrom's been in that position before where he's getting serious Vezina consideration. I love that pick to take it home, especially if Ian Clark goes and joins him in New Jersey.
Yeah, Jacob, what do you think are the odds that Matheson, like in training camp, who's been on power play one?
More Matheson.
Yeah.
But I think Hudson's going to get an opportunity at some point throughout the year. Like when you look, the way that I'm going to describe Hudson is, can he do what Seider did a few years ago when he was a Calder winner, right? Like 50 points or so in 80 to 82 games. Like if Hudson's healthy the whole year, I think Montreal is going to get themselves a Calder winning defenseman.
The only problem I see with that is how he's going to get to 50 points if Matheson spends most of the year on power play one.
I don't think Matheson will spend most of the year on power play one. I think Hudson's going to get at least 40 to 50 games opportunity there. I don't actually know off the top of my head what Matheson's contract situation is, but I would imagine he's probably gone by the deadline anyways for this Montreal team.
Yeah. Isn't he still on that Dale Talon contract?
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's taking that, Jacob.
He's been good. He's going to take that. He's been good in Montreal.
What's his cap hit on that?
It's not that high.
Oh, okay. I thought it was really high.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, pull it up.
It's around, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but
so Jacob, the Habs
it's 4.875.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
And he's got one more year after this. So, a team acquiring him would get him for 2 playoff runs.
62 points last year.
Yeah, 62-point defenseman. Montreal can retain on that. I think Matheson's probably gone by the deadline, and Lane Hudson's got PP1 for, probably even some time before that, especially if Matheson isn't healthy.
So you pick Lane Hudson, the Habs guy. I'm surprised you didn't go Sam Montembeault for Vezina.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you guys are going to give me
all
a hard time
year
about Hudson. Sure. That's
all
fine. I will
long.
stand by Lane Hudson, Calder Trophy winner. And in June, when the awards come out, you guys will be owing me an apology.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If it happens, we'll see. Okay. Let's get to anyone else, which is brought to you by our friends over at the Vancouver Canadians. The Seas thank fans for another great season at the Nat this summer. If you're looking to guarantee your seat for all the action in 2025, please visit canadiansbaseball.com or call 604-872-5232. Harmon, I've got a list for you. Panarin, Lindgren, Reinbacher, Laine, Celebrini, Stützle, Shabbat, Kachuk, Doughty. What do all those players have in common?
They've been hurt in preseason.
They've all been hurt in this cursed preseason, which, as I said earlier, is made only to just ruin any credibility that I have with our listeners. I come out here, I go on Twitter talking about, oh, you got to get more NHL guys into preseason games. No, actually, instead, you know what's going to happen? All of these marquee guys are going to get hurt in the preseason. And if you think NHL guys should be in preseason games, you're wrong. Did you see this yesterday? The Board of Governors meeting as well happened yesterday. They're talking about shortening the preseason.
Yeah.
But then they're talking about just lengthening the season, which defeats the purpose.
Well, but they don't want to lose that sweet gate revenue. That's why.
Okay, I
Which
guess. Get rid of 2 games. Get rid of 2 preseason games and bring in one regular season game?
83 rather than 84. That's a weird.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the round number of 84 at that point.
Also,
Have 82. Don't add
Yeah,
any. Stop
I
being
agree.
greedy.
Also, like I saw some of those preseason games, like early preseason games. I think it was in Buffalo. There was like 500 people there. They were playing in an empty arena.
Exactly.
So
Just
there's
charge
not that much gate
$32 for
revenue.
your training camp scrimmage.
Yeah.
The Canucks are ahead of the curve, actually, if you think about it.
I'm not
Anyway.
going to make any jokes there.
I am. Yeah, all these players going down. It's crazy. It's actually crazy that all of these players are getting hurt in the preseason, all varying lengths, obviously. Not to mention Pia Suter. Pia Suter wasn't on that list that I read. Pia Suter, we should say as well. This was over at CanucksArmy.com. You can go read scenes from morning skate, scenes from Canucks practice, courtesy of our pal Jeff Patterson. Few things to note from practice. Suter wasn't there. He's day-to-day with an upper body injury. Tocchet said that after practice. But Aatu Ratu, after skating as an extra at yesterday's practice, he is on the third line with Niels Höglander and Connor Garland. Harman, this looks like not only the Canucks opening night lineup, but it looks like the lineup that they're going to play in that final preseason tune-up against the Edmonton Oilers on Friday. Ratu back on that third line between Höglander and Garland. I said it yesterday. In my view, he's already made the team. If I was making the decisions, he's already made the team. He did that with his game against the Calgary Flames. I love that Ratu's getting this shot. And then people are going to wonder, Nils Amon, Teddy Bluger, Kiefer Sherwood is your fourth line. Arshdeep Bains skates as the center. Couple things to note here. What did I say?
As the center.
Oh, he skates as the extra. Sorry. Couple things to note here. The first thing is Bains is probably going to be the guy that gets cut. He's not going to require waivers. Amon would. Ratu's earned his spot. Like if it's between Ratu and Bains, which it looks like it is at that point, it's Ratu that's earned the spot. Ratu is more used to the team as a center, especially when that flips his stick over. We wrote about that at Canucks Army today too. He learned that from Olli Jokinen. In Finland. That story's up on CanucksArmy.com if you want to go read it. It's a really, really good one. Jeff wrote it in conversation with Ratu. But anyways, to me, Suter goes back and he just plays on that fourth line. In my view, he skates in the spot of Nils Amon. Nils Amon's your extra player at that time. The bigger question is when Dakota Joshua gets back, what decision has to be made, right? But to me, like as soon as Pia Suter comes back, it's very simple that it's a Suter, Bluger, Sherwood fourth line. You've got two centers on that line. Bluger's obviously going to play center on that line, but you've got Suter in case Bluger gets waved out of the draw or whatever. So I really like this lineup. Like I just look at this lineup and all I have to say is I really like it.
Yeah, 100%. And if Suter is able to slot back in on that left wing, now all of a sudden you've got extra lineup options if during a game you need to mix things up, right? Because let's say the Miller line is flat for a particular game. You can bump Heinen off that line, move Suter back up, or you can throw Höglander up to that top line, and Heinen can slot back into that third line. You've just got a lot of options and a lot of flexibility where as far as where different guys can play in, because like coaches love having wingers who can also play center.
Yep.
And Ratu, if he makes a team and is able to stick in that type of spot, it enhances the level of flexibility that Tocchet has to move other guys around.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, we talk about that with Pia Suter as well. That's why Pia Suter's been so valuable. And Tocchet spoke about this before the first day of camp, about Suter being a hybrid that can go in both of those spots. Any other takeaways from this lineup? Hughes Hronek, we knew that was coming. Susie Myers, Forbert, Desharnais. Got to worry about that pairing. Forbert, Desharnais as the third pairing. Friedman, Juleson, Skates as the fourth pairing, if you will. So that looks like it's going to be really the opening night lineup, and it, barring anybody getting healthy, that looks like it's going to be the lineup for Friday, and it looks like it's going to be the lineup for opening night a week from today, actually.
I'm excited. That's
depth. That's a deep lineup.
Also just for the season start in general. Yeah. For games to actually matter.
Yeah.
I think the end of game 4 is when I'm officially done with preseason.
The end of
I guess it was the fifth one, the Edmonton one. But by the time that Edmonton game ended, I was like, I'm done with preseason.
Well, it's also, I brought it up yesterday, the 4 games in 5 nights is just grueling. Yeah. Like we were doing the earlier shows like last week was, okay, we're going to do a game preview and a game recap, game preview, game recap, game preview. It's I got to get out of that. I want to talk. I want to talk about other stuff. Speaking of which, I already introduced anyone else, so let's get to some anyone else's in the YouTube live chat. This is from K-Town Chef. He said this: with Ratu making the Canucks this year, if it happens, is the Horvat trade now a clear win? I feel like when we did our trade grades, we were putting the Horvat trade as a win already.
Yeah, I initially put it as a neutral just because I wanted to wait and see what Hronek's contract looked like, because I was worried, if he earns more than $8 million,
Sure.
what's that going to be?
Or
But
they lose him for nothing.
Yeah. So leveraging that first round pick from the Horvat trade along with an extra second to get Filip Hronek, that alone made it a victory. If Ratu then also turns into something at the NHL level, that's just the cherry on top.
Yeah, absolutely. It's already a win, but might be a big win. Okay, this one from Karan. Would you rather have Höglander or Sprong with Petey and DeBrusk? I see Daniel Sprong. Like, he's got that shot. He's shown a different gear in training camp that I didn't know he had. That makes me think he's going to really complement that line. Again, this is the great thing about having this depth, is the added luxury of Höglander and Sprong can basically be the same guy. And if one slips up, you have the option of switching them around. And you're going to have that option. It's not going to be like in past years where you don't have anything, or you have Linus Karlsson, not to pick on Linus Karlsson. I just chose his name because he's gotten shots with Pettersson before, where you just are like, okay, well, hopefully something sticks, and you're not really excited about it. With Sprong and Höglander, I feel like those are two guys that can bring different things to the table, but bring similar offensive output to the table.
Yeah, I'd like to see Sprong get the first crack there. First of all, just because I want to see what it looks like for Pettersson to have another elite shot on his line, because he's the type of player that, with his puck handling, when he's on top of his game, off zone entries, he draws so much attention. He almost has a magnetic effect for pulling multiple checkers and defenders towards him, as many elite players do. And when that happens, it means extra time and space for his line mates. In the past, he's been feeding Ilya Mikheyev in those spots, and it's been that lack of finishing ability that has really frustrated a lot of people. But now what happens if you give somebody like Daniel Sprong extra time and space, because he has Pettersson, who's creating a lot of that for him? I'm really intrigued to see that. But also, I think Höglander fits better on that Garland line than Sprong would.
Yeah.
I think that second part is more important to me, because that third line was so essential to the Canucks' identity last year. As great as the Miller and Pettersson lines were, as far as 89-point score for Pettersson, 103-point year for Miller, 40 goals for Brock Besser, there were nights when the top six was flat, and it was that Garland line that was able to be the X factor, was one of the best third lines in the NHL because of the momentum that they created, because of their energy, because of their forechecking. And with Joshua out, I think Höglander can be more of a disruptor, energizer bunny, feel the identity of that line better than Daniel Sprong, who's, of course, more of a sniper finisher type.
Do you think it's too soon to start talking about, well, what do you do when Dakota Joshua comes back? Because I asked the question to myself as I was looking at the Canucks lineup, and we don't need to dive in on it because we don't know when Joshua's coming back. And of course, we're eager to see him back. But to me, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it feels like at that point, you just say, okay, you know what? We're going to have to potentially put Nils Amon on waivers. Or if Ratu's not playing exceptionally well, or it's becoming clear that he's probably needing a little bit more time in the AHL, then you don't have to put him on waivers. Like, he can just go down to the AHL, work on some stuff. He'll be back. And that happens a lot with these young prospects. And remember, he's still only 21 years old. So I don't think it's that big of a deal when Dakota Joshua comes back. I think, again, the Canucks have solid depth entering this year. And when Joshua gets back, obviously they become a better team as well. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I don't think we have to spend more time than that talking about it.
Yeah.
Rajcraft, I'm curious about Harm's standings, if you have them, or if Quads will remember that he even assigned it.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
I have no recollection of that. Like, I wish I could tell you that, like, oh yeah, I remember saying that.
Someone
I don't
heard
remember
that.
saying that. No. I'm not saying I didn't say that.
Yeah,
like, I'm not
okay.
trying to say I didn't. I'm just saying I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting you for a second. Do you have your standings?
Yeah, I do. Now,
let's hear
keep
it.
in mind, that took about less than 5 minutes to look this up.
Okay.
So it's open to like maneuvering teams up and down. But an initial vibe check, Edmonton won. I think they're the best team in the league on paper. Doesn't mean they're going to win the cup necessarily, but especially looking at their record with Knobloch at the helm, I think they'll lead the West. After that, I've got Dallas, I've got Colorado, I've got Nashville, because I think their blue line, I think their goaltending, I think their upgraded forward group is really good. I've got Vancouver next. Now, if we knew that the Canucks were going to get a healthy Thatcher Demko, I'd have Vancouver higher up the West standings. I still got them second in the Pacific, but just because of the uncertainty around Demko and not knowing what type of goaltending the Canucks are going to get, and how last year a lot of their success was predicated on Thatcher Demko being a Vezina Trophy finalist, being the runner-up behind Connor Hellebuck. That's why I've got them fifth in the West as opposed to being a little bit higher. After that, I've got Winnipeg 6. I've got Vegas 7. And then I've got to be honest, that final spot in the West was really tough for me to pick between. You could make a case for Minnesota, Utah, LA. I went with Minnesota.
I like it.
Kaprizov was banged up really early in the year, and I don't know if you looked at the numbers from January onward, but when he got healthy, he was like playing at an MVP caliber level.
Brock Faber.
I think the big one too is Jared Spurgeon is going to be healthy, which is going to be huge help for their blue line. I think he only played 16 games last year. Plus their PK was near the bottom of the NHL, and they went out and actually acquired some penalty killers. So I'm giving them the edge, but I could just as easily see Utah I've got them at 9. I've got LA at 10. Again, they could make it in too, but now the uncertainty around Doughty and like Kyle Burrows is going to be part of their top 6. And how good is Brent Clark going to be right away? Who knows? 11, I've got Seattle. 12, I've got St. Louis. 13, Calgary. 14, Anaheim. 15, Chicago. 16, San Jose.
I like it. Yeah, I'm trying to see like someone has some takes on this. Kurt Richardson. Edmonton is a wild card team at best. I don't agree. I don't agree. I know you don't
just
agree.
made Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Jeremy Lee. Edmonton depth is hanging on by a thread. I agree with that.
And yet they still had the best record in the NHL from November whenever Knobloch was hired.
They were lucky. They were lucky last year.
Also, their top 6 group is even better than it was last year now, after adding Arvidsson and Skinner.
Yeah. Defense is worse though. Who knows what you're
Not
getting
by
from
much.
Stuart Skinner? Who knows what you're getting from Stuart Skinner?
All they did was replace Desharnais with one of Brown or Stetcher, and then replace Emberson with Ceci, who, by the way, Emberson quietly had really good underlying numbers in San
That
Jose.
trade still makes no sense to me that they were able to get Emberson.
I know.
That was just weird.
Yeah, I don't know why San Jose did that.
Mike Greer. Remember last year we were talking about he's the new Jim Benning. He's the league's Jim Benning now.
I think that might be a little bit harsh. I don't think anybody is
maybe it's Cam Neely.
that irresponsible.
Maybe Cam Neely.
No.
With the Swayman stuff? Come on. Okay. We'll finish on this one. Quads versus arm wrestle. Let's go, boys. Do you arm wrestle much?
No.
Okay. So I do. And I watched this video. We're not going to, but this guy, the reason I bring this up is because if you've seen this guy, he's not super built. Like he's clearly a strong guy, and he's got really good core strength, but he goes and takes on these like bodybuilders and guys way bigger than him. And he just like, he arm wrestles them, and he does not move. Like he doesn't move. And basically what it is he just holds them in position. They exert all their energy trying to slam him down. Right. And he's totally calm. Like he doesn't move. He's totally stiff, and he's talking to them like the whole time. And he's just like holds them. And then he just slams them randomly. Like he's just like, oh, you're doing great. And then he puts them down. Crazy. Now, I'm not saying I can do that. I'm just saying the arm wrestling thing made me think of that. Have you seen it or no?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. I'm going to show you that after. It's pretty cool. It's just really cool.
Yeah. I'm
where my mind went.
I can definitely see their like technique playing an important role in arm wrestling.
The wrist curl is the big
Well,
thing.
that's the thing. Like this wrist, I broke the right wrist. I broke playing soccer and like really badly dislocated.
How old were you when that happened?
17, maybe.
Ooh. So just a couple years ago for us.
Yeah, nice joke. So like this, like my wrist is not very, very strong.
Did you get like bars and stuff in it or what?
Well, they put rods in when I had surgery and then took them out.
Isn't that an advantage? Oh no, they took it out.
No, took it out. Yeah. But the point being, like my wrists are fine. Like my range of motion is good, but for arm wrestling purposes, I don't have.
That's a bad idea.
Trust in
no, I don't think you should. Maybe against me you'd be okay, but you shouldn't go around challenging.
Yeah, no,
people to
I don't.
Yeah.
I couldn't even go with my non-dominant one because I mean this one's fine now, but I broke my left arm snowboarding.
Oh my gosh! How many times have you broken a bone?
Just those 2 times.
Oh, okay. I was expecting there was going to be more. I feel like people who have at least 2, they usually end up having
That time,
more than that.
so that's a funny story too, because that day it was a school snowboarding trip, and we were snowboarding. It was super icy that year. A bunch of students got like broke bones or whatever.
Whoa! Really, on a school snowboarding trip?
Well, it was a week long at some peaks.
Holy cow! Never did that trip again.
Well, no, it's kept going.
I guess
but the
all the
funny part of the story was,
Yeah.
so like I immediately knew I was in pain, but I didn't want the embarrassment of having like one of those snowmobiles
Oh,
come
yeah,
out that
yeah.
make a lot of noise. And then just, like,
Australian dude gets off and helps you up.
exactly, and just like riding that all the way down. Plus, I think I have decent pain tolerance, so I was like, okay, like I think this is fine. I ended up snowboarding down the rest of the way.
On a broken wrist.
It was the arm, actually.
Oh my gosh.
And then I remember my wrist kind of clicking. I was like, oh, this is funny. Like, but whatever. I just like wrapped it up and stopped snowboarding for the rest of the trip. 3 days later, I go to my family doctor. I'm like, I think I've sprained my wrist. He like taps it twice. He's like, you've got a broken arm, dude. Go to the
that's
emergency.
funny. That
was really funny.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to get to?
Nope.
Okay. You know what message I got the other day? And it's funny, there's someone in the chat right now saying Canucks talk, please. They want us to get to the Canucks talk. I get it. You know what someone said to me the other day when we got really off the rails? Remember the other day when we talked for a while about non-hockey stuff?
Blue's Clues.
Someone said, yeah, that was the episode. Someone goes, my girlfriend doesn't watch Canucks Convo with me anymore. It doesn't listen to it. And she used to listen for the first 10 minutes and like she would make him wait to listen to the show because we used to do non-hockey talk for the first 10 minutes. And she would listen to the first 10 minutes and then walk out of the room. She'd be like, I just want to listen to the first 10 minutes. And he said she doesn't do that anymore.
Wow.
So maybe.
No, we're not doing that again.
I'm just thinking of the listeners, Harm. I'm just thinking of the listeners. All right. Let's get to our Bet365.
Don't tell me you're betting on a preseason NHL game.
No, I'm not.
There's playoff baseball going on. Quads would never skip over
saw
I
your
playoff
have the
baseball.
NHL page open, but I guess I don't have to do
and
that.
hit the NHL page open. I was like, please, Quads.
I can go to this one.
The only time I'm going to encourage a baseball bet.
Detroit Tigers are going to the ALCS. And now it's the San Diego Padres' turn. You can get the San Diego Padres to win Game 2 of the wild card round tonight against those Atlanta Braves. My Braves bet yesterday wasn't right, but tonight I'm taking the Padres to finish the series with their second win at minus 120 odds. You can go get the San Diego Padres to win tonight. That was our bet of the day, brought to you by Bet365, a proud partner of Canucks Conversation. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Be sure to use code VANBONUS when you sign up for an account. We'll wrap it up there, folks. For my co-host Harmon Dial and our technical producer Jacob Lazar, my name is Dave Guidrelli. Thank you so much for listening to the episode of the Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.